So you've gotten your visitor's visa for Canada, and you think that this is the best way to migrate to Canada. Sorry to say, guys, but that's one of the worst ways to migrate to Canada. In this video, I will be sharing with you 5 ways you can migrate to Canada, and these are my top 5 ways you can migrate to Canada. Stick and stay, guys. Thank you for sticking around, guys. It's good to see that you guys are still here. Before we get into it, guys, I just want to ask you guys just to hit that subscribe button right down below. Smash a like on the video, guys, and drop a comment. Now, let's talk about the top 5 ways to migrate to Canada. Now, these are my top 5 ways. There's many other ways that won't be mentioned in this video, as there's over 200 ways you can migrate to Canada. Before we talk about it though, guys, I'm not an immigration consultant, not an immigration lawyer, affiliate, anything of the sort. It's just a street vendor information, second-hand information, things that I've been through myself and things that other persons have been through. So take it with a grain of salt. Whatever you do, make sure that you do your own research, as nothing beats that. And where do you research? IRCC website. That is the best source of information. Let's get into the countdown, guys, because that's why you're really here. Let's start with number 5. Spousal sponsorship. Spousal sponsorship is one of the most known ways not only to migrate to Canada, but to the US, to the UK, or any developed country. This is when you marry a Canadian citizen or a Canadian permanent resident, and that will allow you to become also a permanent resident of Canada. You have to be careful when doing this application though, because they look at it in greater detail or with more impetus because of the amount of scam and fraud that takes place. You have a lot of marriage fraud that is a result of persons just trying to get married to become permanent residents of Canada. So if you choose this route, you have to make sure that you back it up with facts. You want to make sure that you have not only your marriage certificate, but pictures, text messages that transcend the length of time. Now, a lot of persons try to migrate underneath spousal sponsorship and get refused because IRCC deem their marriage not to be legitimate. And if that happens, you can be banned up to 5 years or for life. Now, if you choose this way, make sure that it's genuine. That can only be my suggestion to you. But spousal sponsorship comes number 5 on my list because it's still in high demand, and when it's done properly, when it's done legitimately, it is one of the best ways to migrate to Canada. Number 4. Number 4 was very prevalent a couple of years ago, and many persons got their permanent residency underneath this stream, and it's really going through the express entry stream. If you guys don't know what the express entry is, the express entry is really a pool that Canadian immigration create to allow skilled workers to migrate to Canada, essentially. Now, express entry is divided into 4 categories. That's the Canadian experience class, the foreign skill class, the foreign trade class, and provincial nomination. Now, this is one of those areas that a lot of persons use to migrate to Canada. Now, it's really dependent on a point system. The amount of points you get determine whether or not you are elected or selected from the pool. When you create an express entry profile, it allows you to choose the province that you want to see your profile. So it asks you a series of questions and it gives you a number of points. Like, for example, your education, your age, your work experience background, whether or not you have family in the province that you are moving to or intend to move to. All of these things give you a series of points, and depending on the amount of points, you might get selected. Now, it's the fittest of the fittest. The more points you get, the more chances it is that you will be selected. You also have to do your English test, which is your IELTS, or your self-pip test. Now, express entry is not as prevalent as it was a couple of years ago, and that's just because the turnaround time was so long because of COVID. A lot of persons ended up doing their English test, creating their express entry profile, and then it expired, and then they have to do it all over again. So because of that, there was a long turnaround time, so persons start seeking other, and that is why express entry is number 4 on the list. Number 3, provincial nomination. Provincial nomination is very similar to express entry, other than the fact that you don't need points. Now, each province is almost like its own little mini country. So, in order to attract people to their particular province, they create different streams, different avenues that persons can use to migrate directly to that particular province. Now, in Alberta, you have the Rural Renewal Stream, something I've spoken about before on this channel. In the Atlantic provinces, you have the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, something we have also spoken about on this. Once you meet the requirement for these provincial nomination streams, most times it includes getting a job offer, then you can use that as an avenue to apply directly to the province. When nominated, you can apply for your work permit and then ultimately permanent residency. Provincial nomination has trumped express entry in terms of Canadian migration, and that is why provincial nomination is number 3 on the list, because it's very, very much in high demand right now, and it's an avenue that a lot of persons are benefiting from who wants to move to Canada. Number 2 on my list, LMIA work permit, hands down. Number 2, if you're able to get an LMIA job offer, you can use that LMIA job offer to apply directly for a work permit. Getting that work permit can be your road towards permanent residency. Now here's the catch, guys. LMIA really stands for Labor Market Impact Assessment, which is when a company or an organization reach out to Service Canada and say that, listen, we're having a hard time filling these positions and we want the opportunity to employ foreign nationals for this position or for this position. If approved, then they can employ persons internationally. But they have to prove a series of things. One, they have to show Service Canada that they have done every single thing in their power to employ a Canadian citizen, Canadian permanent resident, somebody on a study permit or even a work permit, and nothing has worked. And because of that, they have to employ persons from outside of the country. Now, of course, that is gonna be hard to prove. Now, once they are successful in proving it though, and you get that job offer, you are good to go. LMIA is scarce though, that's the part. LMIA work opportunities are not as prevalent as it was a couple of years ago, because what is happening, a lot of persons are seeing the demand for LMIA, and as a fact, some unscrupulous persons are selling LMIA 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, and that has been created a large scarcity in LMIAs. So persons who are looking for a legitimate LMIA opportunity are finding it difficult because there are so many gatekeepers who are trying to get rich from the LMIA opportunity. Well, if you can get it, it's one of the best ways to migrate to Canada. Number 1, can you guess what it is? Give you a second. I'll also give you a second to hit that subscribe button. Done? Give you a second to like the video and to drop a comment. Number 1, guys, international student. That is how I migrated to Canada, and that is how I know how so many persons have migrated to Canada. Now, studying in Canada can be very expensive, I know. However, being an international student in Canada is still one of the safest ways of migrating to Canada. Study permit process can be very difficult, however, and very expensive, but look at it as an investment. You're investing in your future, and once that investment pays off, then you are able to ultimately become a Canadian permanent resident and a Canadian citizen. That is how I was successful in coming to Canada with my family, and that is how many persons was also successful. So studying in Canada is still highly regarded as one of the best and safest ways to migrate. Very expensive though. Very, very, very expensive. I did a video previously on my channel where I shared some tips that you can use to save the money or to get the money that is needed to study in Canada. If you haven't watched that video as yet, go and check it out. There's tons of other videos that you guys can go and watch as well, where I not only share my journey, but I give tips, provide advice, and all sorts of jargons that can help you along. Again, I'm not an immigration consultant, lawyer, affiliate, anything of the sort. I cannot provide immigration services. All I can do is talk from my own experience and experience of other persons. If you like the video, as I said, guys, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, become a part of the family, guys. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers, we can almost touch it, but we can't do it without you guys. If you're here and you have not yet subscribed, don't be that person. Do not be that person. Just hit that subscribe button and get us to 10,000 subscribers. We might be waiting on you to get us over the line. If you're interested in Canadian immigration, this is the space for you. I'm a Jamaican who migrated to Canada in 2019, and I share my journey unfilteredly. In case you're new here, my name is Dems. Now, if it is that you are watching this video and you like the content, like the video. I can't stop saying that, right? And drop a comment, most importantly. Let me know what you think about my top 5. Do you know anybody who it has benefit? Or are you thinking of taking one of these streams? Let me know right down in the comment section, and I will be in there interacting with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way to the end. Really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.